Hey guys, today we're going to draw a realistic skull and crossbones. I hope you have a marker and some paper. Now you don't have to use a marker if you don't want to. You can use a pencil if you feel more comfortable. I love using markers though because it shows up really dark and we don't spend any time erasing. We just spend time drawing, which is way more fun. And you may have also seen the lesson that my kids did by themselves. That was a lot of fun and that was meant for the younger artists. This one's gonna be a little bit more challenging, but if the younger artists are still up for the challenge, I think it would be awesome if you still follow along. Now, if I ever go too fast, remember you can always pause the video. Let's first start by drawing his eyes, and I'm gonna draw them in the middle of the paper, but towards the top so that we have room for the crossbones down here at the bottom. And we don't wanna draw him too big so that we have room for his whole head. So we're gonna start by drawing the top of his eyes. We're gonna draw two curves, and we wanna leave a little gap in between each one. So this one I'm gonna draw a little bit longer, and we wanna make sure that they look symmetrical, but it's okay if they're not exactly the same. Now let's draw the inside of his eyes. It's gonna be a diagonal line that comes down, and I'm gonna curve around and actually connect to the outside. And that's okay also if our lines are really wobbly because skulls are natural, right? They're not mechanical. So come over and we'll repeat that same. So now we got the cool eye socket shape. Now we're gonna draw his nose. Let's draw a V right in between his eyes. So we're gonna draw a V, comes down like that. And then down here we can also draw, let's draw an A shape right below it. Now we're gonna draw the outside of his nose, and I'm gonna draw it kind of wobbly, comes around and then connects. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. Now I'm gonna draw, let's draw little lines that come out on each side of his eye. It's gonna make him look a little angrier. And then we can also do the same over here. This is gonna create an eyebrow shape above his eyes. Now down here, let's draw, I'm gonna draw a little line that comes down in front of his eye, the corner, the bottom corner of each eye. Now we can draw his cheekbones. I'm gonna start right here. We're gonna come out of this line and then draw a line back. So it looks like a sideways V. And we can repeat that same shape over here. Come down and out and then back in. Now we're gonna finish this cheekbone and start the top of his jaw. So we'll draw a line that comes in and stops halfway underneath his eye and then curves down. And then we're gonna do the same thing on the right side. Halfway under his eye and then down. Oh, cool. All right, now between these two lines, let's connect them with a bumpy, wavy line. And that's for the top of his teeth. Next, let's draw the top of his head and we'll complete the shape of the skull. So we'll start over here on his cheek, and this line can come up and be really bumpy, come over, back down, and then connect to the other side of his cheek. All right, now let's create a few more details inside of his forehead. So up here, I'm gonna draw a line that's wavy, curves down, and then connects into his eyebrow bone. And then I'm gonna do that same line over here, can be wavy, come down, and then connect into his eyebrow. Now on each eyebrow, I'm gonna add a little line. Maybe there's a little bump right here over his eyes. And that's also gonna make him look a little more angrier too. Next, let's draw his teeth. We'll start right in the middle and draw a line straight down. Then on each side, we can curve around and create his front tooth. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. It's almost like we're drawing a C shape, letter C. Now on this side, let's draw backward C's that are gonna get smaller as we go back. So we're gonna overlap them. This is gonna make his jaw look 3D. Go all the way back. Now we'll draw the frontward C's and they're gonna get smaller. We're gonna overlap as we go back. One more. That looks really awesome. Now on each of these, I'm gonna add a little line that comes up past the gums or the top of his teeth. And some of these I might make a little longer too. There we go. Okay, now let's move down and let's work on his bottom jaw. I'm gonna start right here under his cheek and draw a line that connects to his teeth. And we'll do the same thing on the right side. Okay, now let's draw the outside of his jaw. I'm going to start right next to his cheek, draw a line that comes in and then down. And then we'll do the same thing over here, line in and then straight down. Now we can connect these two lines for the bottom of his jaw. Draw a diagonal line, and then we're going to draw a straight line across for his chin, and then we'll go back up with a diagonal line and connect. Oh, cool. Now we can see the whole shape of the skull, except we need to draw his bottom teeth. So let's draw another line right down the middle. This one's going to be shorter, and then we'll draw the little C shapes going back. Here we go, one more. All right, we finished the right side. Now let's do the left. Do the same thing. Draw C's. They get smaller as they go back in his mouth. And now we could do the same thing we did on the top row. Let's add little lines that go past his teeth. There's just little ridges that go into his jaw. Now our skull looks awesome, except I think we need to add more details. We need to add a few cracks. I'm going to add a crack coming down from his eye. Maybe we could even draw some cracks coming off the top of his eye. I'm going to add one over here too on the left side. Now, you don't have to make your cracks look exactly like mine. You could use your own creativity, add less cracks, or even add more cracks if you want. Now I'm going to add a few lines down here. Let's add one that comes right down the middle of his jaw and almost connects to his teeth. And I'll do the same thing over here on the right side. Then also I'm going to add a line right here on the side of his nose and maybe one on the right side also. All right, I'm going to leave my skull just like that. And I'm going to move down here. We're going to start on the crossbones. So I'm going to draw a diagonal line. First diagonal line that goes across like this, and it's okay if it's wavy and bumpy. Now I'm going to draw another one right next to it. Now this is the middle of our bone, so let's connect these two lines on each side, and we're going to draw a bumpy line that comes out and then comes and connects back in. And then we can do that same thing over here. There we go. Oh man, that looks so cool. Now, I'm going to add a few more lines, a little more details. You could even add cracks if you want to these bones. I'm going to add one line down the middle. And then maybe a line right here also. And one more line right there. Okay, now let's add the second bone. I'm going to draw, we got to draw it overlapping, so we're going to draw this one coming out to the right, and then we're going to imagine it going behind the first one and coming down. Now I'm going to draw another one right next to it. Okay, now we can connect these two lines with the bumpy end of the bone. And then we'll do the same thing down here on the bottom left. Okay, and then let's add a few detail lines. And then I'm going to add some up here also. Add one coming up. All right, we did it. We finished our skull and crossbones. That was pretty easy, right? It wasn't too hard. I hope you paused the video if you needed extra time. Now it's going to look way better once we color it and add some shading. So I'm going to put my marker down. This part I'm going to fast forward, but at the end you guys can pause it to match the same coloring. All right, I finished coloring and shading the skull and crossbones, and it looks so much better colored in, doesn't it? It looks like it's gonna pop right off the page. So I hope you're gonna take the time to pause the video and match the same coloring. It may look challenging, but it's actually really simple. I only use two colors. I use ginger root and black, and these are my Prismacolor colored pencils, so they blend really well. Now the ginger root, I went over everything and I colored it in with that light brown, except I left some highlights on the top of the skull, also on the top of his eyes and below his eyes, and then also on top of each of the bones, I left a little highlight. Then I went back over with the black, added some shading around the outside of the top of his head, and then also the inside of his jaw. I added a little bit of shading in between his eyes and also the bottom side of each of the bones. And then the very last thing, I added a small little cast shadow just to make this bone look like it's really in front of the other one. Now remember, it's okay if your drawings don't look exactly like mine, because the most important thing is to have fun and to practice. I promise if you draw your skull and crossbones a second time, it'll turn out even better. And we'll see you later, art friends. Goodbye! If you had fun following along in this lesson, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking the circle. Then you can click the bell to get notified every time we upload new videos. I've also picked out these 2 other lessons I thought you'd really enjoy. Don't forget to take a photo of your child's finished artwork and share it on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, because we want to see how awesome it turned out.